Hi everyone, I'm young adult author Mary Gray of marygraybooks.com, and I'm excited to share with you the second half of my interview with Tamara Hart Heiner. In case you missed last week, Tamara is the author of 12 books and has been a freelance editor for 5 years. To see the first half of the interview, in which we talked about Tamara's experience as executive chair of Indie Author Hub, click the card at the top of this page, click the link in the description of this video, or check out my YouTube channel. In the second half of this interview, Tamara's going to share with us a little bit about her experience as an editor. She actually edited for me, and she is wonderful. She'll tell us a little about the common editorial mistakes she's seeing and what she hopes to work on in the future. Do you take on every project that comes your way?
I have not ever turned someone down yet. However, some projects are so huge when they come my way, where someone thought they were just looking for a copy edit. What they actually needed was almost a ghostwriter. They needed someone who's going to teach them point of view. They needed someone who's going to teach them paragraphing, someone who's going to teach them where to put your quotations and dialogue.
Yeah.
That kind of editing is going to be a whole lot more expensive than copy editing. And when I throw that price quote out at someone, they don't usually continue, which is just fine with me. If I'm going to do that kind of work, I expect to get paid for it.
Yeah.
So I've never had to turn someone down, but there are projects I haven't taken on, and I've been just fine with that.
Yeah, I think that there's this learning curve we all have to go through when we first start to write our first book. We have no idea how much we're doing wrong, and it's hard because it's crushing to learn this, and as you go on, if you stick with writing, it's like, oh, you're right, I am doing this and this and this wrong. And that was one of the things I learned with my first book contract. When I started learning more about writing, I was like, this book is terrible. It shouldn't be published. I need to learn so much more. And I pulled out, and I'm so glad I did, because I didn't want to destroy my writing credibility, And,
right.
And so you're being honest and upfront, and you actually have the skill set to say, I can help you with this and this and this. But when you help people with that, those are like hundreds of hours of your time.
Yes.
I mean, it's a huge undertaking. It's like going to college and getting a degree, like learning to write a book. That's how difficult it is. And a lot of us think that we can do it from the get-go, and then we get some honest, constructive feedback, and then we realize, oh, there's going to be a learning curve here. So I love that you can do that, all the way from just simple proofread copy editing to I will help you do this story, and that says a lot for your skill and expertise. And that was something I hired you as an editor for Our Sweet Guillotine, and I knew going into it, you freelance for a publisher as an editor, and you had looked at some of my earlier stuff, and so I knew that you knew a lot of the grammar rules and things, and I had remembered some content remarks you had made. But when I sent my manuscript this time to you, and we had agreed on a line copy edit, you still saw some timeline and content issues, and I thought, oh, she's such a present editor. And I love that. You weren't just like reading the words and fixing quotation marks, like you were paying attention to the whole story. And so that tells me that you really know what you're doing. And so I can wholeheartedly recommend you to anybody looking for an editor, no matter what space they are, or spot they are in their writing career. Like, you're golden. So everybody who's looking for an editor, I don't know how many projects you like to take on, but Tamara is good.
Thanks. I really do enjoy editing. It helps me focus more on my own work, because sometimes if I'm just writing, I start to get, restless leg syndrome, or I just want to get up and do something else, or I don't want to look at my book anymore, so I'm like, oh, let's go watch YouTube or something. Yeah. So instead of doing that, I can go and work on someone else's manuscript, and it helps me to stay focused when I'm working on my own. It kind of keeps me on task. So I like to have editing projects kind of interspersed with my own projects. There are occasions where I accidentally overbook myself, and then I'll end up not being able to get to my own stuff because I'm working on editing projects. Yeah. But I'll take it.
Yeah, you think so? So you think it's something that you'll continue doing, like, for the foreseeable future, or is it kind of a means to an end?
I do. I enjoy it, and it's really great to work with authors, and I think I become better at it every time I do it. Yeah. And I like to stay on top of the trends, because things change. And that's a lot of things that authors don't realize. They might be an excellent writer, but their writing has to fit the way things are going, the way the trend is today. When I started out with one of my first books, and I took it to a critique group, they were like, what point of view is this book in? And I was like, well, duh, it's an omniscient point of view. Don't you know what that is? What they were trying to say is, we don't write books in omniscient point of view. And I didn't know that, and I was an English major, so I knew how to write, but there are rules, there are things we have to follow as authors that we don't have to do when we're just writing an essay.
Yes.
And so I try to help authors recognize a trend in the beginning of their manuscript so that even if I don't correct it all the way through, they can figure out how to go through and fix that themselves.
Which increases their marketability so that they'll sell more copies. So that is, again, another great insight that you can provide, which I love. So is there something specific you would love to see in your editorial inbox?
So far, I feel like I can edit any genre. Nobody's ever sent me erotica, and that might be a little bit strange if they did. There are genres that I prefer over others, but I feel like I can always edit whichever genre comes my way. But my favorite is definitely going to be young adult. That is what I enjoy reading, that is what I enjoy writing, and those are the manuscripts that just make me really excited, where I just don't even want to stop reading. I just keep going. So,
yep, I agree with you there. I love young adult too because it's, I don't want to say it's simplified, but it takes out all the boring stuff, like it keeps moving along. Sometimes adult, it gives backstory or something. It just, not always, but I just love the pacing of young adult. That's probably
I do too. And I feel like it's young adults are so fresh. They're new. They're almost adults, but they're not. And they're on the cusp of life. Everything's in front of them, and everything's new. It's a first experience, whether it's falling in love, or whether it's going on a trip, or whether it's going to high school, going to prom, whatever it is, it's a first time. It's amazing, and it's wonderful to explore those emotions.
And as a reader, we can be a lot more forgiving of the mistakes these characters make, which is great.
Have a little more freedom.
Yeah, and so the drama just ends up really fun, I think, with young adults. Okay, so I think I have all of my questions on editorial. So as a writer, I was wondering if you wanted to share a little bit more about your books, where we can find them, any promotions, any news, anything you would like to share with us about your fiction and nonfiction.
I have 4 series that I've got going on right now, and I have several others. Oh my goodness, I have so many books. I have 2 series that I've written the books to, but I haven't even tried to publish them yet, because then I would have 6 series going on, and I just can't do that. So I'm trying to finish up some of the series that I'm working on right now before I throw out any others. So the 4 that are going right now, I have the Perilous series that is through a traditional publisher, and it's got 3 books out, and I am currently drafting book 4 in that series. Oh, there is a 5th little novella that's just kind of a side story to
and
it.
I have to insert here, that one is really great, and even my son loved that, and he loved Altercation. It says a lot to me that you can write something that people from very different demographics can enjoy. So
yay!
All right, moving on. Sorry.
So that's a very fun series. Those characters, I've been hanging out with them for a long, long time, so I really like them in that series. And then I have my Goddess of Fate series, which is Inevitable and Entranced, just came out in February, and I am currently outlining book 3, which will hopefully come out in 2018. And then I have my Kellam High series, and both of these series, the Goddess of Fate and the Kellam High series, are more of the paranormal / supernatural type series. So they're a lot of fun. They give me a lot of chances to explore fantasy and mythology and things that can't actually happen in real life. So the Kellam High series has Lay Me Down and Reaching Kylie, and I am drafting the 3rd book in this series as well. And then I have a middle grade series, which is, I call it my Cassandra Jones saga. It's very huge. It's the official title is The Extraordinarily Ordinary Life of Cassandra Jones. And it starts with this cute little 10-year-old girl as she is going to a new school as her family has moved states. She's trying to make friends. She's trying to fit in. And she just has all kinds of mishaps along the way. Some of them are her fault because she's only 10. She makes mistakes. Others are adults. Adults can be insensitive. They can be snappy. They can be mean. And so she has to adjust to people who aren't always fair, aren't always nice to her. And that series has been really, really fun because I have launched it in the same way that you would launch a television series. So each year of her life is what I call a season. And each season is broken up into episodes. So her 5th grade year has 6 episodes. Her 6th grade year has 7 episodes. Her 7th grade year, which is launching in 10 days, has 6 episodes as well. So that's been extremely fun. And then at the end of each season, I box all the episodes together into a much bigger box set of the full books. And that one's been really great to do, really fun.
That is perfect. I think that there's room in the market for more chapter books for girls. I have a daughter who she isn't into reading quite as much as her brother. She does enjoy it. She goes in phases, you know, and she really enjoyed like the Junie B. Jones books and Ramona. And then I think your books seem like a natural step up, you know, when you're ready for that next level. And so my daughter is just on the cusp of being ready. And I'm really excited because I have this author who knows what she's doing. She's going to supply great stories for my daughter, you know, and so I'd say perfect.
It's fun. It's really great. And being able to watch Cassandra grow up, watch her from her 5th grade year, where she's just 10, to now she's going into 7th grade and she's 12. And oh my goodness, these hormones are starting, and there's this anxiety and this need to be popular, all these issues that weren't a part of her life 2 years earlier. So it's really fun to watch those things happen.
And what that says about you as an author, that you're able to go to that younger spot all the way up to, you know, young adult, that versatility is amazing to me because I'm not.
It's because I never grew up.
Well, I'm perpetually probably stuck in like psychologically in teenage years, but I have a hard time going to the younger levels, and I think that it's really great because I want my children to have quality, clean fiction for them to read. So I'm glad you're like the perfect resource for me.
Oh, good.
Yep. So yeah, did you have any promotions or anything you wanted to share about these books coming out? Or you said 10 days, the next Cassandra. Right?
Yes. The next Cassandra Jones book comes out on April 15th, so I guess it's 9 days.
Oh, okay.
And I do have a book going on promotion. Inevitable is going on promotion April 10th and 11th, I believe. And it will be free during those days.
Great.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah. And I've noticed you did a Facebook launch party for your last Entranced, is that right?
Yes, Entranced.
Yes. So will you be doing another Facebook launch party for Cassandra Jones?
I'll be doing a very small one. Instead of having guest authors come in and speak, I'll just be posting snippets of the first chapter and running a couple of contests. I have some fun contest ideas, I think, to help get readers engaged and to help them read and to share their experiences. It's always fun to have people talk about things.
That's a good idea. And, you know, as parents, we could see these snippets of a chapter and say to our child, what do you think of this part? Do you think, you know, this is funny or clever? Or do you like Cassandra? Sort of an introduction to them.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I have mentioned this to you before. I think that your production level has been astronomical. I'm always so impressed with it. It's something that I've had to learn to stop second guessing every choice I'm making, you know, and do you have any suggestions or advice for others moving forward to be able to have a high production level like you do?
There are a lot of things I have learned as I've gotten less and less time to myself, where if I want to continue with a high production, I have to let go of some things. And one of them was only writing when I had at least half an hour to an hour, because I don't often get that much time.
Yeah.
So I have to be willing to open up my computer and write, even if I'm only going to have 10 minutes. I started to do a lot of things at the computer that the librarians tell you not to do, like eating my lunch.
Oh.
And I have my computer open almost all the time. I'm multitasking. I have also found that there's an app I can put on my phone where I can dictate. And so if I'm in the car by myself, I haven't overcome being self-conscious enough to do this in front of my children. But if I'm in the car by myself, I will dictate. Instead of writing, I will draft on my phone. And it's connected to my Dropbox. So everything I dictate on my phone goes directly to my file on my computer, which is really, really great, because there are days where I don't get to sit down and draft. And I have a continuous goal to do 1,000 words a day. And so if I hit those 1,000 words while I'm in the car driving, then it takes that pressure off my shoulders. And I can go home and focus on the dishes. I can focus on editing. I can focus on my children without feeling like, oh, I've got to sit at the computer. I've got to get some writing done. My goal is not very high. I don't feel like I'm at a place where I can do 3,000 words a day. I just try to do 1,000, and that keeps things moving. That keeps things going. And then I try to a couple of times a year get away to a writer's retreat, where I can easily knock out 15 to 20,000 words in a couple of days, and that kind of just jump starts my activities and my books. The other thing that I think is really, really, really important is to not ever look back. Don't reread what you've written. Don't think about the first chapter, or if you get to chapter 7 and you're like, oh, I need this plot point to be in chapter 2. just go up to chapter 2 and write a little note, insert plot point here, and then keep going. Don't look back till your book is done. That's been really key for me, because otherwise I would get stuck on the errors, I would get stuck on the editing. My first chapter might be beautiful, but I would never get to the other chapters.
Okay. Yeah, that is advice that I definitely need to learn, because I don't know, I'm just a very reflective personality, and I don't know. I think that we all have different, personalities and strengths that we bring to the table, and we're not all going to be able to write at the same speed, even if you're balancing other things. But that is really helpful. Thank you for sharing that, and something to work towards. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you so much for sitting down with me. I hope that our viewers are able to come away with some tidbits, some ideas, whether you are interested in joining Indie Author Hub, if you need Tamara's editorial services, or if you are a reader and you would love to read some great books. You can find Tamara's books at tamarahartheiner.com. And I'm Mary Gray of marygraybooks.com, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, Tamara. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.